Morning. Welcome to this session. So this session is HR project management or Agile project management, and this is the first learning outcome. So the learning outcome is about understanding the fundamentals of project management and the role of project manager. Yeah, I think it makes sense like that. So these are the indicative content. So we're going to be looking at the role of project manager, triple constraints, which is time, cost, and scope, and the stake entanglement. The next thing we'll be looking at is the terminology, which is what project management is. So what is project management? This is the practice of planning and organizing, directing and controlling resources to achieve specific goals within a specified time frame. Also, it involves overseeing projects from start to finish. So take, for example, you have a project and you want to and maybe you want someone to oversee for you, or you're overseeing it yourself. You are low-key doing project management. It also involves defining objectives, creating schedules, managing budget, allocating resources, and coordinating teams. Project managers are responsible for ensuring that projects are completed efficiently, on time, and within budget, while also meeting quality standards and stakeholders' expectations. So it's not about just completing the project. It's not about creating the schedules. It has to do with making sure that the project is of a good quality, and obviously the people you are delivering it to, maybe your clients or the stakeholders, are happy with it. So effective project management requires a combination of leadership, communication, problem solving, and organizational skills. So we have a video that would like us to watch.
This is how we made our workflow better than ever.
About what project management is.
It gave our team one.
No matter the role or industry that you're in, you have probably heard.
I think we should just take a look at the video after the lecture. So let's finish the lecture and then we'll go back to the video. So the next thing is the key concept of project management. So project managers have various key concepts which will be useful, and some of them include project scope, project planning, project schedule, resource management, risk management. Let me reduce it so that we can see what we have here clearly. Give me a second. I want to reduce the font. Yeah, this makes more sense. So the first one, which is project scope, this is clearly defining the objective, deliverable constraints, and requirements of the project. This ensures everyone involved understands what needs to be achieved. So you have to look at this as when someone gives you a task to do, or when you are given a project to work on by a client or by a stakeholder. You have to have an objective, the deliverables, the constraints, and the requirements of the project. You have to outline that. The next one is planning. This involves breaking down the project into manageable tasks, estimating resources, creating schedules, and allocating responsibility to team members. So these parts make sure so that you'll be able to break the project into tiny bits. If you are in a team of if you are in a company of plenty people in the team, those of team members, you can do this right here by allocating schedules, by like breaking responsibilities to each team members. The next one is project schedule. This involves developing timelines and milestones to track progress and ensure tasks are completed within the specified time frame. So over here, you'll be able to like know what time you will need to complete the project, and obviously like if you'll be needing extra time before the project is completed, you do that right here. The next one is resource management. This involves efficiently allocating and managing resources such as personnel, equipment, and budget to meet project goals. The last one, which is risk management. This involves identifying potential risks and developing strategies to mitigate them. This involves assessing the likelihood and impact of risk and implementing contingency plans. So take, for example, right now, before you start the project, you literally like feel like, oh yeah, there won't be any like disturbance, there won't be like maybe like unforeseen circumstances, or like, so take for example COVID or something like that, or you falling sick. You can like plan, you can do risk management right here, so that obviously like, you're able to like mitigate or come up with a contingency plan so that you're able to like finish the project and deliver the project on time. So after knowing the concept of project management, we have to understand what the roles of project manager. So the responsibilities and duties of project manager can vary depending on the organization, industry, and specific project requirements. However, there are some common roles and responsibilities typically associated with the position. Like I've been saying since morning, every project varies, every project is different, and it's not about like it being different alone. Every company or every like industry has different requirements. Take for example, you're building a house, like you're a building constructor. The kind of responsibility you have is different from someone that's building a software. So obviously, like it is different project, but in general, you generally like have the same guideline that you need to follow. This involves project planning, team leadership, communication management. So the first one, which is project planning, this involves developing project plans that outlines objectives, scopes, schedules, budget, resources, and timelines. This involves breaking down the project into tasks, estimating durations and resources requirements, and creating a roadmap for execution. The second one, which is team leadership. This involves building and leading project teams by assigning tasks, providing guidance, motivating team members, and fostering collaboration. A project manager is responsible for ensuring team members have the necessary resources and support to carry out their responsibilities. So take for example, right now, you are a project manager. That means that like you probably have team members. So you are literally a leader. So you must be able to motivate them. You must be able to like provide guideline and some solutions to any problem they have and all. So effective communication management is another like thing that is another role of a project manager. So facilitating communication among project stakeholders, including team members, clients, vendors, and other relevant parties. This involves disseminating project information. So apart from the role, you have to like consider the skill of project manager. So effective project management requires a combination of technical skills, soft skills, personal qualities. Here is a list of skills and qualities necessary for successful project management. The first one is leadership. We've talked about it previously. So being able to inspire and motivate team members, provide direction, make decisions, and resolve conflicts. because you being a leader doesn't mean that there won't be fights, doesn't mean that there won't be rifts among team members, doesn't mean that a team member won't feel like, oh yeah, they're being left behind, or they feel like they don't understand what the tasks that they are being allocated. So you have to be able to inspire them. You have to be able to like make decisions, even if the decision might be a tough decisions, but yeah, you should be able to make that, and you should be able to like resolve conflict. Communication. Excellent communication skills are essential for conveying information clearly and effectively to stakeholders, team members, or other relevant parties. So you must be able to like communicate your point, which involves using a clear and effective way of communication. Organizational skills. This involves ability to organize and prioritize tasks, resources, and timelines to ensure project objectives are met efficiently. Time management. Efficiently managing time and deadlines to ensure tasks are completed on schedule within budget. So because you're given a budget of £1,000 or $1,000, doesn't mean that like you should spend all time so that you can like spend more. You should be able to like work around the budget that you've been given to you and around the schedule that you've created and that you agreed with the stakeholder. And yeah, so that's what that means. Problem solving, being able to identify issues, analyze root causes, and develop effective solutions to overcome challenges and obstacles. So the next thing we'll be looking at is project management process. I think there are 5 of them. So project management processes are organized into 5 key phases. Initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. Monitoring and closing, I mean, my bad. So the first one is initiating, followed by planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Yeah. So each phase represents a distinct set of activities and deliverables aimed at guiding a project from conception to completion. Here is an overview of each phase. So the first one, which is initial phase, the second one is planning phase, third one is executing phase, and then we have monitoring and controlling phase, then lastly, closing phase. Project management methodologies. So we have different types of methodologies in project management. Yeah, regarding these phases, obviously, like just to like have some explanation about it, and also you can go online to check what those phases means. So yeah, so this is it. And obviously like check here, and but just like a quick and short explanation. And the initiating phase is literally like the first phase of you like understanding what the project is about. The planning phase requires you gathering information from like sources and everything and speaking with the stakeholders. The executing phase is actually like when you like try to like work on the project, and the monitoring and controlling phase, which requires like you managing it and making sure that, oh yeah, it gives the result that you want. And the closing phase is like when you are literally done with the project and you're able to like pass it on. Yeah. So project management methodologies. The first one is waterfall methodology. Waterfall is the traditional linear approach where project phases flow sequentially from one to the next, resembling a waterfall cascading down. So just for a visual representation of what it is. So we can see an image right here, which is usually like a waterfall. It's like a water falling from the top down. That's why it's called waterfall. So we have the phases. The projects progress through sequential phase, including requirement gathering, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance, which is literally the same thing as what we have here. There are loads of images online that you can use to help that. What are the pros of this method? It is clear and structured. It's clear and structured process. Each phase has a well-defined deliverables and milestone. So literally, we've been talking about like requirement gathering. We're talking about the design, implementation, testing, and deployment and maintenance. So regarding what we've been saying since morning, I think we should have an idea of what requirement gathering is, which is literally like gathering the data that we need. The design is literally when we structure out how we want the project to look. Implementation is like when we work on the project, and testing, you shouldn't deploy a project without testing it. So you must test your project, you must test anything that you worked on. And deployment is literally when you like take, for example, right now, if you are working on a software, you can push it to GitHub to deploy it and all. And maintenance is literally like you checking for bugs and everything. Customers can raise a complaint, or stakeholders can raise a complaint about maybe the login button is not working. So you have to like be able to sort that by maintaining the software also. So as I was saying, the pros, which literally means the advantage, clear and structured process. Each phase has a well-defined deliverables and milestones. So like as we have in this image, we have DiISE analysis. So from analysis, you move to design. From design, you move to implementation. From implementation, you move to testing. From testing, you move to maintenance. So it is well organized for you to like understand what you need to do as a project manager. So predictability, the project timeline and budget are typically defined upfront, providing clarity on project scope and expectations. Documentation, extensive documentation is produced at each phase, aiding in traceability and compliance. It's not literally just about that. Take, for example, you are working for a company and you leave the company, documenting your project. We ensure that the new developer or the new project manager comes in and we're able to like look at what you've done and understand it too. Yeah. So what are the disadvantages, which are literally cons? Limited flexibility. Changes to requirements are difficult to accommodate. Once a phase is completed, often requiring costly revisions. So continued, we have another one called Agile methodology. So let's check this and see how it looks. So this is how it looks. It goes from evaluation to design, application, construction, implementation, explain and monitoring. It can also be scan, analyze, and so on and so forth. So we have that. So Agile methodology. Agile is an iterative incremental approach that emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer feedback throughout the project lifestyle. So this involves like a step. You do something, you ask the customer, you do the first step, you ask the customer or the client or the stakeholder. As you move on to the next one, you speak with the customer, the client, or the stakeholder again. So each process involves you communication and collaborating with the customer and receiving feedback from them. What is the principle? Agile principles are outlined in the Agile Manifesto and include values such as individuals and interaction over process and tools. Working software, over compressive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. The framework, Agile methodologies include Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming, and others, each with its own practice and ceremonies. What are the pros? Flexibility. Agile allows for frequent iterations and adaptations to changing requirements, enabling faster response to customer needs. Stakeholder involvement. Continuous feedback from stakeholders ensure alignment with business objectives and customer satisfaction. Transparency. Progress is visible through regular meetings, demos, and progress tracking, fostering trust and collaboration. What is the disadvantage? Lack of predictability. Agile projects may have less defined timelines and budget, making it challenging to forecast delivery dates and cost. Resource constraints. Agile requires active involvement from cross-functional teams, which may be difficult to sustain in resource-constrained environments. Learning curve. Transitioning to Agile may require organizational culture shifts, mindset changes, which may be challenging for some teams. So we see that we have Scrum as an example. So you can look at what Scrum is and what it means. And also, yeah, this is a good website that will definitely help you. Don't worry, this session is being recorded, so you can literally just go back to it and watch it. The next topic we're looking at is project management triangle. So what is project management triangle? This is known as the triple constraint or the iron triangle. It is a fundamental concept in project management that represents the interdependence of three key factors: scope, time, and cost. These factors from the foundation of every project are interconnected in such a way that changes to one constraint often impact the others. Here is an explanation of each component of the triangle. First of all, we have scope. So what is scope? Scope refers to the detailed description of the work that needs to be accomplished to deliver the project objectives and deliverables. It encompasses the features, functions, and requirements that define the project outcome. Changes to the project scope can include additions, omissions, or modifications to deliverables or project objectives. I think this is self-explanatory. We also have time. We all know what time is. Time, also known as schedule, represents the duration or timeline within which the project activities and tasks must be completed. It includes establishing deadlines, milestones, and sequencing of activities to ensure timely project delivery. Time constraints are critical for meeting project deadlines and ensuring timely delivery of products or services. The cost refers to the financial resources required to complete the project, including expenses such as labor, materials, equipment, overhead, and contingencies. Cost constraints are essential for managing project budget and ensuring that the project is completed within the allocated financial resources. The next thing we'll be looking at is project management tools. So project management tools are essential for planning, organizing, tracking, and controlling project activities. They provide project managers and teams they provide project managers and teams with the necessary resources to manage projects effectively and efficiently. Here is an overview of common used project management tools. The first one is Gantt chart. Second one is PERT chart, which means program evaluation and review techniques. We have Kanban boards. We have project management software, which involves Trello, Jira, ATHE, and we have collaboration tools, which involves Microsoft Teams or Slack. I think, yeah, even Zoom that we're using right now is a project management tool. So for you to understand what Gantt chart is, it's just a chart that displays, it's a tool that illustrates work completed over a period of time in relation to the time planned for the work. So we have it here. So you put the time and everything. So planning, research, design, implementation, and follow-up. The follow-up is usually like maybe like maintenance or something. So yeah, this is a clear example of what that means. We have per chart too. So you can Google what per chart is. Per chart, which is this. Yeah, so what does it mean? Yeah, it's a tool used to schedule, organize, and mark our tasks within a project. Kanban boards. Yeah, so it's an agile project management to design to visualize work, work in progress and maximize efficiency of flow. So we have this, and oh, my bad. Yeah, okay, yeah, we have this. Yeah, so and so on. Trello and Jira is a popular software. Most Trello. So this is how it looks. You would like do the task and maybe like move the task from upcoming, progress, and done and everything. So the upcoming, you assign it to people. Once you've assigned it, you can move it to in progress. If the task is done, you can move it to done. That's how it works. The same thing with Jira too. And I'm pretty sure that we have an idea of what Microsoft Teams is. If you don't, just take Zoom as an example. So what is Gantt chart? I've literally told us what it is, but just for clear and just for us to understand it and why we use it. So Gantt chart visually represent project schedules by displaying tasks and their corresponding timelines as bars on a timeline, which is literally the same thing that we saw the other time. They illustrate task dependencies, duration, starts and end dates, and progress. Importance: Gantt charts help project managers and team members understand project timelines, identify critical tasks, track progress, and communicate project schedules effectively. We also have per chart, which we've looked at. I don't think I won't be talking about the definition. I'll just talk about the importance. Per charts help project managers analyze project timelines, identify critical paths, allocate resources, and manage project risk effectively. Kanban boards, also the importance. Kanban boards provide real-time visibility into task status, facilitates task prioritization, promote collaboration, and streamline workflow management. Project management software, Trello, Jira, etc., etc. Project management software the importance. Project management software centralizes project information, streamlines communication and collaboration, automates repetitive tasks, and provides real-time insights into project progress and performance. The collaboration too, because we did not really look at that, so I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. Collaboration tools such as Teams, Slack, and Google Workspace facilitate communication, file sharing, documentation, collaboration, and virtual meetings among project team members. Also, Zoom is a clear example. Importance: collaboration tools improve team collaboration, promote transparency, enhance information sharing, and facilitate remote project management. So the next thing we'll be looking at is project management documentation. Project management documentation plays a crucial role in defining, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing projects. It provides a structured framework for managing project activities, communicating project objectives, requirements, and expectations, and documenting project progress and outcomes. That's usually what project management documentation is. The next one is communication in project management. We've said this before that you need to have the skills of communicating. So communication is fundamental to the success of any project management endeavor. It facilitates collaboration, ensures an alignment, manages expectation, and promotes transparency among project stakeholders. Clarity, the first one is clarity and understanding of why we have to communicate. Alignment and consensus, problem solving and decision making, risk management, stakeholders engagement. So the first one is stakeholder engagement. What is stakeholder engagement? This is critical for the success of any project, as stakeholders have a significant influence on project outcomes and can impact project scopes, resources, timelines, and acceptance. Here's why stakeholders management is important in project success. Alignment with objectives, resource allocation, risk management, decision-making, and enhanced communication. So these are the reference that we used today. Obviously, like this brings to the end of our lesson outcome 1. Also, I think we'll be looking at the lesson outcome 2 right now. So you can take a look at the other examples that we give, the clarity and understanding, alignment, consensus, and risk management, among other things. Also, so yeah, these are the references. Also, if you have any question, don't forget to like send us an email. But because we are looking at another topic, I think we can just move on. I mean, the lesson outcome 2, we can just move on to it before we look at other things. Yeah, so I think this is it. Yeah, so this is learning outcome 2. Give me a second. Let me check this. Yeah, so learning outcome 1 and learning outcome 2. So yeah, we're on the right track. So so this is the learning outcome 2. This involves understanding traditional project management with waterfall SDLC. So when they say SDLC, what does it mean? It means software development life cycle. I think it makes sense for us to just like take a minute break. Yeah. So this is the indicative content. We'll be looking at the waterfall SDLC, software development lifecycle, and the phase gate. So I think there's a chart. Can I hear you? I can't hear you at all. I can't hear you at all. But can you hear me? If you can hear me, just say yes in the chat, please. Okay, that makes sense since you can hear me. Yeah, if you have any question after this learning outcome 2, you can just shoot them in the chat since I can't hear you. Yeah, so the first thing we'll be looking at is what is waterfall SDLC. So I'll be saying SDLC a lot. So like I said, it means software development lifecycle. So if I should say it, don't feel like, oh yeah, what does it mean? So it literally means software development lifecycle. So this is a traditional linear approach to software development that follows a sequential step-by-step process. In the waterfall model, each phase of the development process is completed before moving on to the next phase, with little to no overlap between phases. I literally spoke about this when during the learning outcome one. So I say that you can't move on to the next one until you finish the first one. When did we look at it? Oh, now I can't remember when we looked at it. Yeah, but I think it's this. Should be this one. Yeah. So you have to complete one before you move on to the next one. You can't move on to the next one without completing the first one. So, and so on and so forth. We also have another video for us. So we're watching 2 videos.
Keep your head above the water with the water.
After this session. So, what are the process of waterfall SDLC? Waterfall LDLC, along with associated activities and deliverables. The first one is the requirement phase, followed by design phase, implementation phase, testing phase, deployment phase, and maintenance phase. We've spoke about this in the learning outcome 1, so we should have a rough idea of what each phase means. So, just in case we've forgotten, let's remind ourselves what it means. So the activities that is done here involves gathering requirements from stakeholders through interviews, surveys, and workshops. It also involves analyzing requirements to ensure clarity, feasibility, and alignment within project objectives. Documenting requirements in a requirement specification document. Reviewing and validating requirements with stakeholders to ensure accuracy and completeness. What are the deliverables, the things that you'll be required to deliver? So requirement specification documents. This document outlines functional and non-functional requirements, including features, user stories, use case, and acceptance criteria. The next one is design phase. What are the activities done here? There are actually 3 activities that's done in the design phase. The first one is architectural design, defining the overall system architecture, including components, modules, and interfaces. Detailed design, creating detailed specification for each component, or including module, including data structures, algorithms, and APIs. The next one, which is user interface design, designing the user interface layout, navigation, and interaction patterns. The last one is database design, designing the database schema, tables, relationships, and data access mechanism. So these 3, look at it as you being a software developer or you being a web developer. So as a web developer, you need to have an interface. You need to have a place where the user will interact, which involves maybe like a login button, maybe like a register button that the user needs to click, and any information that the user inputs into those forms needs to be stored in what is called a database. So you have to design the schema for the database, and you have to map the relationship in the database. Take, for example, you want to map the relationship between a user and a post. You have to do that in this database design. So what are the deliverables? Architectural design documents, detailed design documents, UI mockups or wireframes, database schema diagrams. The next phase is the implementation phase. There's 4 activities here. This involves you writing code, developing software components according to the design specification. Code integration, integrating individual components or modules into a cohesive system. Unit testing, testing involves components to ensure they function correctly in isolation. Code review, reviewing code for quality, adherence to coding standards and best practices. These are the deliverables. The source code file, compile binaries or executable files, unit test report, code review documentation. The next phase is the testing phase. Obviously, this involves you testing it, looking for bugs and everything. So we have 4 activities here. We have integration testing. Testing the integration of individual components to ensure they work together as intended. System testing, testing the entire system to verify that it meets specified requirements and functions correctly. User acceptance testing, which is called UAT, allowing end user to test the software to ensure it meets their needs and expectations. Regression testing, retesting previously validated functionalities after changes or updates to ensure they remain unaffected. So what are the deliverables? Test plan and test cases, test execution reports, defects reports, and resolution status. The deployment phase, after you've done all the previous phases, the deployment phase is usually when you put it online for customers to see, which means that you are putting it out to the whole world to see. And there are 3 activities to that. Installation, deploying the software to production or staging environments. Configuring the software settings, parameters, and options as required. Data migration, transfer data from existing systems to the new software if applicable. User training, providing training to end users on how to use the software effectively. So the user training, that is why when you download software online, it usually comes with a README. It usually comes with like a documentation for you to like read so that you'll be able to like understand what you are installing. So what are the deliverables? Installed and configured software, data migration logs, training materials, and documentation. Maintenance phase. I think this should be the last phase. This involves 3 activities. The first one, monitoring. Monitoring the performance, usage, and reliability of the software in production. Support. Providing technical support to address user inquiries, issues, and defects. Update. Releasing update patches and enhancements to address bugs, improve functionality, and add new features. So these updates, I'm pretty sure that if you use a smartphone, you will see this, especially like if you use an Android or Apple. So if you should go to your App Store or Google Play Store, you see that WhatsApp often have updates, which is literally an example of maintenance phase. And so the last one is documentation. Updating documentation, user manuals, and knowledge base to reflect changes and improvement. Deliverables, maintenance logs and reports, release notes, and updated documentation. What are the advantages of waterfall SDLC? The first one is clarity and structure. The waterfall model provides a clear and structured approach to software development with well-defined phases, deliverables, and milestones. This clarity helps project teams understand project requirement, scope, and objective upfront. Predictability. Because the entire project is planned upfront in a waterfall model, including requirements, scope, schedule, and budget, there's a greater predictability in terms of project timeline and cost. Give me a second. Okay, yeah. This predictability can be beneficial for projects with fixed deadlines or budget constraints. Documentation focus. The waterfall model emphasizes documentation at each phase of the SDLC, including requirement documents, design documents, and test plans. This comprehensive documentation serves as a basis for planning, development, testing, and maintenance activities, and provides a valuable reference for project stakeholder. Stakeholder involvement, particularly from clients or end users, typically occurs at the beginning and end of the project in the waterfall model. This involvement ensures that the stakeholder requirement and petition are captured upfront and validated before project completion. There's no advantage without disadvantage. We have to look at the disadvantage. So what are the disadvantages of waterfall SDLC? Limited flexibility. One of the most significant drawbacks of the waterfall model is its lack of flexibility. Once a phase is completed and the project moves to the next phase, it's challenging to accommodate changes to requirements, scope, or design without impacting the entire project plan. This rigidity can lead to delays, cost overruns, and frustration among stakeholders. Late feedback. Stakeholder feedback is typically solicited at the end of each phase in the waterfall model, particularly during user acceptance testing, UAT, that we looked at previously. This means that any misunderstanding, misinterpretation, or deviation from requirements may not be discovered until late in the project lifecycle, making it difficult and costly to address them. High risk of scope creep. Because changes to requirements are difficult to incorporate, once development has begun in the waterfall model, there's a high risk of scope creep. Stakeholders may request changes or additions to the project scope as they gain a better understanding of their needs, leading to scope changes that can impact project timelines, budgets, and deliverables. Long delivery cycles. The waterfall model's sequential regression can result in long delivery cycles, particularly for large, complex projects. Each phase must be completed before moving to the next, which can lead to extended project timelines and delayed delivery of value to stakeholders. So, just for us understanding, we have a case study, which is a real-life example of waterfall SDLC. Development of an e-commerce website. So take, for example, you want to develop a website like Amazon. You have to look at the requirements phase, which involves gathering information on what customers need on an e-commerce website. And then you have to design it, how you want to structure it, how you want the login page to work, how you want the login page to look. You have to test it, which involves like looking for bugs and everything, making sure that, oh yeah, the login button works, the login functionality works the way you want it to work and everything. And then you deploy the e-commerce website to staging or production, or you send the executable file to the stakeholder. At the maintenance phase, you constantly update it, you constantly send out patches and everything. So we have tools of waterfall SDLC. The first one is project management software, which involves Microsoft Project, Primavera P6. You can Google what that is. Documentation tools, we have Microsoft Office Suite. Version control system, we have Git, especially if you want to use GitHub and you want to use Bitbucket. We have requirement management tools. We have IBM, which is IBM Rational Doors. So you can Google what that is. Let me check it. Yeah, so you can check what it's used for. It's leading requirement management tool that makes it easy to capture, trace, analyze, and manage changes to information. So, and then we have testing tools. We have HP ALM. The ALM stands for Application Lifecycle Management. You can also Google what that is. Collaboration tools such as Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and so on. So, yeah, our reference. And also, these are the reference that was used for this course and everything. And also, you can refer to the ebooks, journals on the modules for this unit. Any queries, questions, kindly send email to the email address displayed below, which is learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk. Submission of assignments to be done on learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk. Assignment submission is after 2 weeks of the completion of the units and delivery, and so on. So I think it makes sense for us to just watch the video before we round it up. Or if you have any question, you can shoot it into the chat.
Waterfall approach to project management. The waterfall method is a linear approach to project management. It emphasizes a logical series of steps where one phase can't begin until the previous phase has been completed, like a waterfall. Click the link above or in the description below to learn how waterfall stacks up against other methodologies like Agile and DevOps, and hit the button in the corner to subscribe for more videos on all things business tech. The waterfall method was conceived for industrial design projects, but software engineers often use it today. The method consists of 7 phases, each of which must wait for the previous one to finish before starting. The phases are requirements. Customer requirements are gathered. This generally is the only time customers can provide input. Analysis. System specs are checked to make sure they'll work in production, and financial and technical resources are audited to ensure they're adequate. Design. Technical requirements are outlined, including the programming language, architecture, and hardware to be used. Implementation. The design is implemented and production begins. With programming, the source code is developed in this stage. Testing. Quality assurance and other tests are applied, and debugging takes place if needed. Operation. The product is deployed to the customer. Maintenance. The product is maintained and supported. In software development, this is where the software patches are applied. The waterfall method lets development teams move efficiently through the phases of a project without much input or interruption. This makes it suitable for projects that have fixed, unchanging requirements, require specific documentation, use well-understood technology, results in little output variability, and must work on the first try. The waterfall method isn't ideal for some projects, such as ones where significant change is required. Mid-project adjustments or error corrections may be needed. Ongoing customer feedback must be incorporated. 2 processes are performed simultaneously, or where quick, iterative updates are required. Development teams may choose other methodologies like Agile or DevOps because of the increased flexibility they allow. Which methodology does your team use? What is waterfall method best for? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to hit the like button and subscribe too.
Also, the link of this project is in the slide, so you can check that later. And also, let's watch
The
what project
term
management is.
project management. If you're still wondering what is project management, well, you're about to find out. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on a very special free guide on why and how to ensure your projects don't fail. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Adriana Girdler, and on this channel, you're going to get the best practical project management advice coming to you every week. So please consider subscribing to this awesome community. So if you want to know what is project management, let's get to it. Project management explained. Project management is a process that guides teams to ensure that they reach their deliverables and their goals. All businesses rely on projects because, again, if you're not doing your service or your related activity to your services or your product, you're probably doing something from a strategy standpoint, which is a project or an initiative. And again, that has project framework associated with it. Project, just so you know, from a definition standpoint, is we're looking that it has a definitive start, a definitive end. There's usually tasks associated with the goal that you're trying to deliver. And you usually bring about other subject matter experts together to help you accomplish those goals. Now, when you're in project, when you're doing project management, you bring in specific skills and tools. And as I said earlier, subject matter experts. There's definitely documentation you have to look at and some really good specific techniques to ensure that you are remaining on scope, time, and budget. That is really important when it comes to projects, is you want to ensure that you're always delivering what you're supposed to be delivering and that expectations are constantly being met. So what are some project examples? Well, a really good one is new software. So software companies constantly doing new projects, construction, if you're building a house. Sometimes organizations will have new initiatives internally that they're trying to do. Could be like a new process or a way of working that the whole organization has to be aware of. That becomes a project. How about a product launch? That becomes a project. Pilot concept and testing, those are projects. So that just gives you an idea how wide the gamut of projects really are. Again, what I said earlier, start, finish, bringing in subject matter experts. You have specific tasks that are leading you to an overall goal and a deliverable. They don't have to call them projects. You can call them initiatives, you can call them activities. It's all the same thing. So it's really important that you understand what exactly is a project. Now, if you're really liking what you're hearing so far, oh my goodness, it would help me out so much. Give it a like. I really would appreciate it. And it really will help more people get this video. So thank you. The core components of project management. So you really need to have an understanding as to why you're doing this project. That becomes a justification, background information. You also want to have a very clear idea of what the risks are, assumptions, you need to manage those. A lot of documentation is associated with this so that you can keep on top of your monitoring and execution. Communication is a really huge thing as well. You're constantly communicating, not only within your project team, but outside of your project team with stakeholders. And that leads to change management. That's a big component of project management as well, particularly when you have a deliverable that is going outside of anyone that you currently were in contact with, like your project team or senior executive sponsorship. If someone else is going to be getting it, then you need to have change management around there. So there is a very strict discipline and very specific tools associated with that, which does help from a core competency perspective. So just think of those things like your scope statement and your charter and the justification and your communication and change management and risk. All of that stuff really makes up the core components of project management. What the life of a project looks like. And what I said earlier on is, remember, a project is a process. So there's a very distinct 5 stages to project management, no matter the methodology that you use. And I'll explain that in a moment. So the 5 stages consist of 1, initiation. This is where you're getting all the information as to why and what you're doing the project. You can really get your scope statement here, and you're working with senior executives, and they're helping you out to define a lot of things. The next stage, which is stage 2, is planning. This is where you're figuring out, you're getting your charter, you're figuring out who you need, you're putting a very high level framework of the concepts you're going to be moving forward with, team members, and also a kickoff. Now, the next stage is execution. So execution is just that, you're executing the project plan that you did in the planning stage. Now, this is where I want to get some clarity for you, because I hear words like, or you may have heard words like waterfall project management, agile project management. This is where those methodologies will now come into play. So project management, there's a framework, there's structure to it. Like I'm telling you right now, these 5 stages we're going through. And in this stage 3, execution, is when you start bringing in specific methodology depending on the project that you're working on. So if you're working on software, at this stage, you are going to then bring in agile principles to help execute the build of the software that you're doing. So let me just make sure this is really clear, because this gets confused. You still have to do initiation, and you still have to do planning. Still have to do those 2 fundamental stages. But when you're executing your plan, you then can go into a waterfall methodology, an agile methodology, whatever type of project, a hybrid methodology is going to work for you. 4th stage, for sure, is monitoring control. This is where the risk comes into play. You want to make sure that you're addressing all of that stuff. Change management, things of that nature, which is monitoring, controlling, ensuring that you're always going back, having that iteration of tweaking things so that you're always moving forward towards a deliverable. And last but not least is closing. And this gets ironically missed a lot. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, because it's paperwork. We all hate paperwork, and we're probably given the next project. So we said, we'll do that later. But don't miss out on this stage, because that's where after action reviews come into play. We call them postmortems as well, where you learn from past projects and or your project workings that you were doing as to what worked well, what didn't work well. So on the next project, you don't make those same mistakes. Again, you don't want to be repeating the same issues, right? You want to learn from them. So that closing becomes really important. So that's the framework. That's the life cycle of project management. The importance of project management in organizations cannot be overstated. It is critical to success. you really need to have this framework in order to move strategies and initiatives forward. So don't lose out on it. And on that note, don't lose out on this. It's a free download.
So, in the absence of no question, I guess I will see you same time to what's going on? Yeah, you said wait. Okay. So what do you mean by assignment type? You mean like the 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 unit assignment? Oh yeah, so it's going to be written mostly. I think it's going to be written, and if there will be practical, obviously you'll be communicated. You'll be communicated with that. So basically, the last class will be on the assignment discussion. So I think with that, we will be able to like know how the assignment will be, because right now I don't know for now. So, but I think most of the time it is written. It's usually written assignment. So yeah, but you can send an email to learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk to come to confirm more. But I think it should be written assignment. Does that answer your question? Then yeah. So I will see you same time tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Bye bye. Bye bye now.